This is Jay Mancini. Welcome to my channel where we keep the wheels rolling and the cash flowing. And today, guys, we're going to be talking about money. Yes, guys, money. However, guys, before I dive into the content, let me just tell you how this video came about. I was actually talking to a friend of mine just a few days ago, and I've been knowing this guy since day one, since the day I actually got started in the business. Now, keep in mind, he was in business. Actually, he's still in business before I was even in business. So we started talking about our journey, and he was asking me, he said, Jay, I remember when you first got started and you started with no trucks, and now you've been able to grow your business and scale your business, and I've seen you doing work all across the greater Houston area. He's like, man, how did you do it, man? How were you able to do it? And he was asking me a lot of different questions. And so with that being said, guys, you know, one of the main things he asked me was, how were you able to grow the business the way you did? And really, that's what he was trying to figure out. And I was telling him, well, the main thing was by being profitable, right? So with that being said, guys, today, yes, we're talking about money, but we're talking about the most profitable ways of getting paid. By the way, guys, before we go into the video, someone wanted me to remind you of something. His name is Mr. Subscribe. He's not here with us today. If you don't know who that is, Mr. Subscribe, that's actually the pillow that's usually here. You've probably seen him in some of the other videos. But he wanted me to remind you guys while he's on vacation and I'm sitting here working, creating this content for you guys. Guys, show us some love, like and subscribe, and make sure, guys, that you tell your friends. So guys, let's dive in the most profitable ways of getting paid. Now, there's several ways. Today, I'm gonna be showing you three ways, the three most profitable ways of getting paid in the dump truck business. So guys, we'll dive into number one. Number one, hauling and selling materials. By the way, guys, of these profitable ways of getting paid, there's no specific order. As long as you know that you take all three of these things is equally as important to one another. So guys, hauling and selling materials. Now, I'm gonna tell you guys, hauling and selling materials is one of the most profitable ways of getting paid in the dump truck business. So let me give you guys an example and what I mean by hauling and selling materials. Now, you're probably thinking, Jay, well, of course, hauling, that's what we're doing in the dump truck business. We're hauling materials. But guys, and I've said this in other videos, okay? Materials are extremely important, okay? Not only because you're hauling them, but because you can actually make and generate more income if you're actually selling the materials. And we have other videos, guys, on materials and selling materials. But guys, let me tell you something. When I first started in the business, all I was doing, guys, was just hauling dirt or hauling sand or hauling gravel. That was the three main things that I would do when I first started the business, okay? However, I started to notice that there was other guys in the business that were brokers that were out there and they had several different jobs going on. So then I started to figure out the ways that they were conducting business, and I started to really dive into getting to know what it is that they were doing. And the one thing that I noticed, guys, is that majority of those guys that were at the top making the most amount of money, what they were doing is they were selling materials, meaning the following. Okay, not only were they getting contracts to hire the owner-operators to take material from point A to point B, but they were also selling the material, meaning if they were hauling sand or hauling dirt, guess what they were doing? They were also selling the dirt. So, give you guys a better example. If the general contractor needed, let's just say, 1,000 cubic yards of dirt, well, the broker, not only would he provide the trucking, but he would also sell them the 1,000 cubic yards of dirt. So this is something, guys, that I highly recommend if you want to make it a real profitable business. Why? Because again, guys, you're not only going to get paid for the trucking, but you're also getting paid for selling the material. Now, I'll tell you guys a story. When I was getting started, I was, like I said, watching what these other brokers were doing. And I noticed that some of these guys were picking up sand or picking up dirt from pits, from the dirt pits or the sand pits, and they were taking it to the general contractors' job sites. I said, wait a minute, these guys are not only transporting the material, but they're also selling the material. And how did I find that out? Well, by again, building network, by building connections and talking to some of the guys that were on the job. And they would tell me, oh yeah, I'm transporting this dirt or this sand for, this broker. But at the same time, they were telling me, yeah, the broker's the one supplying the dirt, or the broker's the one supplying the sand to the contractor. So that's how I started to really get more knowledge into, what does it take to buy sand? What does it take to buy dirt or gravel, right? And then later on, building the connections to be able to buy those materials from the suppliers so that I can later on also offer the services of selling these materials to the general contractors. And me being very straightforward with you guys, I'm telling you. So ultimately, guys, I was getting paid for two services. For one, transporting the materials, and two, selling the materials. So this is one of the most profitable ways of getting paid, guys. Again, I'll reiterate, you're making income off of selling the materials, so you have an additional margin. So if you bought it, let's say for $10, you sell it for 12 or 15 or 18. And then you also have, right, the income and what you're charging for the trucking alone. So again, now you have two ways, two sources of income. And that is one of the most profitable ways of getting paid, because 90% of the time, guys, let me tell you something. The contractor that's hiring you to transport the materials, they're gonna be buying the material. However, if you can offer that service, you're also saving them some time from having to go and buy it or having to make that extra phone call. Now, if you can provide the service and the material, you're saving the contractor time, and now he's only having to deal with one person, which is yourself. So guys, one of the ways that I was able to haul materials and also sell the materials was the following, guys. Several years ago, and I'm gonna tell you something that actually happened to us, and this was again several years ago, but we had a particular contractor call me, and he was actually needing a lot of sand for their job. They knew some of the sand pits, right? However, they did not have a great relationship with the sand pit, meaning they had never purchased sand from that sand pit before. Now, they were the general contractor and they did need the sand. Now, here's what happens. The contractor calls the sand pit and tells them, hey, we need all this sand for this job. But the sand pit says, okay, great, but we don't have any trucking. So the contractor calls me, of course, and says, hey, we need trucking to move some sand. Now, here's what happens, guys, okay? The contractor's like, hey, we need you to give us a price to haul this sand from this sand pit to our job site. What they didn't know was that I actually had a good relationship with the sand pit. I had actually purchased sand from this sand pit several times in the past, and having a good relationship with them, guys, I actually had the opportunity to buy sand from them at a somewhat of a discount rate, or a lower rate than they would normally sell it to just a general contractor. Why? Because once again, I already had built a relationship and I had already bought sand from them for several other jobs. Here's the catch. Remember, they also, the sand pit, they do not have trucks. So one of the ways I was able to help them out also was provide trucking for them whenever they sold their own material. So if the sand pit had a job, and let's say they needed to supply a contractor, they could also call me and I would also help them move their sand. But in return, if I ever needed sand for one of my jobs from one of my contractors, they would give me a discount on the sand. So you see how that works? We help one another out, right? And that's called building a relationship. So now, going back to the story, guys, they go off and they tell me, hey Jay, ABC contractor called and they're needing sand. And I said, yes, I know ABC Contractor. I've actually hauled for them in the past. Well, keep in mind, guys, I had already a good relationship with the sand pit. So one of the things, obviously, me having a good relationship, I had a lower cost on the sand. So now the sand pit says, well, Jay, you know what? We're just interested in selling the sand. So I go back to the contractor and I say, hey, look, I can provide the sand and the trucking for you all at one price. Well, the contractor came back and said, hey, you know what, Jay? Your price is competitive. Let's go for it. Why? Because now they're only having to pay one guy or one company, which is us. Instead of having to pay the sand pit for the material and also having to pay us for the trucking, now they're only having to deal with one company, which is us, and they pay us for the sand and the trucking. So you probably already figured it out. Not only did I save them time from only dealing with one person, but also we were able to make some extra money. Why? Going back to what I said at the beginning, we had built a good relationship with the sand pit. We were able to buy it at a lower rate, sell it to the contractor at a higher rate, and on top of that, of course, charge them for the transportation cost. And guys, that's how we got paid two ways and made it a real profitable job. Now keep in mind, you may have a job like this only for a day or two, but eventually you may run into a job that may be for 4 weeks or 5 weeks or 4 months or 5 months, or in the instance in our job, that was a 1-year job. So guys, that's a perfect example for you to keep in mind of how and why it's important to make it where you can sell materials and also transport the materials, and why it's so profitable. All right, guys, so the second way, providing more services, in other words, leveraging others' help. Now, what do I mean by providing more services and leveraging others? Guys, as I was saying before, sometimes when you first start the business with one truck, there's nothing wrong with starting one truck or no trucks. However, if you want to make it a real profitable business, you have to start thinking from the beginning of how you can leverage others' help. Why? Because leveraging others will help your business by you being able to provide more services to contractors. And let me tell you guys how I was able to do that. So when I first got started, guys, if you don't already know, I didn't start with any trucks. So what I had to do is, as you probably already know, and I'm not gonna go too deep with that, is I had to start by looking work for the one truck that I technically did not own, right? However, that's how I was able to learn that I could hire other guys and provide services for multiple contractors. And guys, let me tell you, that is one of the most profitable ways of making money and getting paid in the dump truck business. Why? Because now, guys, I'm not only looking for work for my dump truck, I'm able to actually provide services to multiple contractors all at one time or all in the same day. So instead of me getting paid just to transport material in one truck, or if I own 2 trucks or 3 trucks, guys, now I can get paid by providing trucking to multiple contractors. And of course, I'm gonna have to go out there, and I've mentioned this in other videos, guys, where you have to be able to network and you have to be able to build connections. But guys, just like any other business, you leverage the help of other individuals, and that's how you're able to provide more services, and you're able to grow your business, and you're able to scale it to where you can provide more income for your business. And of course, guys, the most important thing is you're also providing a strong foundation so that down the road, guys, you're able to not only give other guys work, but at the same time, you're able to provide more services for the general contractors. And of course, you're making more income. All right, guys, so I'm gonna tell you how we were able to provide more services. And maybe it was kind of by default, okay? And I'm just being very honest and transparent here, guys. But I'm gonna tell you how it happened. And so, guys, I have to go back several years ago. And now that I'm thinking about it, it was kind of crazy how it happened. But let me go ahead and tell you guys, it was something that maybe it might not happen to you right off the bat. And maybe it may be a little different for you, okay? But guys, I want to give you a good sense of how this could also help you out when you're trying to grow your business. Well, going back, guys, several years ago, towards the very beginning when we first started the business, I remember that I was out and about, and I was actually, at that time, we actually had 2 trucks. And I was out looking for work for these 2 trucks, right? And of course, I was already starting to build a little bit of connections, and I was starting to build some relationships with some of the owner operators. Well, I actually got a phone call from one of the contractors that I had actually reached out to. And they called me and they say, hey, Jay, so we're actually having a job that's starting here. It's gonna start in about 5-6 weeks. And I was like, okay. And I'm like, yeah, definitely let me know where is it located. I can give you a price, I can give you a quote. You know, we're definitely interested. And again, keep in mind, I only had 2 trucks at this time. Well, what I wasn't expecting, guys, was the following. The guy tells me, we're gonna move, and I'll never forget, because I remember that when I was on the phone, I sat there and I had to think about it, because I wasn't sure what I was gonna say, and hopefully it helps you. So I remember the guy telling me, he said, yeah, Jay, so we're actually going to move 500,000 cubic yards of dirt. I'll never forget. I said, how many? He said 500,000 cubic yards of dirt. So at that time, I kind of froze on the phone and I said, 500,000 cubic yards. I said, how many truckloads? And I remember even asking the guy, how many truckloads? And then he said, oh, it's gonna be about 50,000 truckloads. And at that time I thought, is this guy being serious? Is this really a thing, right? Keep in mind, guys, I had only been in the business a few years. And I told the guy, I said, yeah, we're interested, but I didn't know how. I didn't even know which way we were gonna be able to do this job. But I did obviously tell them, yes, I'm definitely interested. So they tell me, so give us a quote, Jay. Let me tell you where it's located. It's located in certain area, which is now one of the nicest areas here in the greater Houston area. And at that time it was growing, it was booming. And so the guy tells me, Jay, give me a good price. He said, if you're competitive, he said, you know, we'll definitely keep you in mind. So I went out there, guys. I remember driving out to the job site, and sure enough, the company was already on the job. So this company had the job. And so that's when it hit me. I said, oh man, this is really serious. So guys, what that led to was the following. I had to start thinking outside of the box. Now I'm not thinking about just my 2 trucks. Now I'm thinking, if I want to do this job, obviously there's no way I can do it with 2 trucks or 3 or 4. So where am I going with this, guys? By thinking outside the box, I was able to do this, provide more services. But to do that, I needed to do this, leverage others. So now, guys, I'm like, well, if I want to do this job and they're trying to move 50,000 truckloads in a matter of a year and a half, I'm gonna need X amount of trucks every day. And at that time, I think it was like 20 to 25 trucks each day. So guys, what it did for me is it pushed me maybe to that zone of uncomfort, right? But what it was able to do in the long run, guys, I was able to leverage others' help, provide more services, but ultimately, what are we talking about? Money. We were able to make more money. And of course, there's a lot of other details. I had to tell the contractor, hey, I can definitely help you. I can provide these trucking services for you. You know, I just need you to do this for me in return. And of course, again, without going so deep into the story, you know, one of them at the time was not having the cash flow or the capital, but I was able to work that out where I was getting paid in time to pay the other guys that were hiring on the job. But ultimately, what I'm telling you guys is it pushed me to the level of being able to provide more services, meaning I had to also hire other guys, leverage their help, but ultimately make more money and take our business to the next level. And guys, I just want to reiterate one thing to you, okay? Remember, I only had 2 trucks at the time, but at the time we were running 20 to 25 trucks on a daily basis, okay? So this is the way that obviously we were able to grow our business. So you don't have to have 20 trucks. You don't have to have 25 trucks. You may have one truck, okay? You may be paying on that one truck. As long as you have the want of being able to go out there, provide more services, and find those contractors that are also willing to work with you, you're able to provide them with the trucking. And as long as they can provide you what you may need, which of course, like I said, one thing may be capital and there's other things there that are involved, but as long as they're paying you in time, guys, and you got those connections, you got those networks, and you got the independent contractors that you can hire and that are able to help you out, you can make this happen. And that's how we were able to make our first big job happen. And that's how we were able to, again, provide more services, hire others, leverage their help, but ultimately, once again, make more money. All right, guys, the next most profitable way of getting paid is investing in yourself. Now, you probably were thinking I was gonna say something about dump trucks. However, guys, let me tell you something. Investing in yourself is crucial. Why, guys? I can go on and on and on and on, okay? But I'm gonna tell you some of the fundamentals of why it's crucial investing in yourself. Why? Because first and foremost, guys, before you invest in your business, you have to be able to invest in yourself. Where do you start, guys? You start in your mindset, okay? Mindset, guys, is really important. And if you really want to know the truth and what I really feel, I think it's the most important thing. Now, some of you guys may feel different about that, okay? But it's a mindset. Why, guys? Because once you've decided to invest in yourself, then you can invest in your business. And here are some of the ways, guys, that I would suggest you invest in yourself. Guys, you've heard me say this before, but I'm gonna say it again. Networking, guys. Networking, you've probably heard this, okay? Your network is your net worth. Well, guys, let me tell you, they are aligned, okay? Networking, guys, is so crucial, and this is one way of investing in yourself. Why? Because if you don't already know and you haven't seen any of the other videos, okay? Yes, I do say it in a lot of the other videos because it's important, guys. When you network, okay, what are you doing, guys? You're building relationships, and you need to build relationships, okay? Not only in the trucking business, but in any business, right? But if you haven't seen the other videos, make sure you see some of my other videos where I talk about networking and building those relationships, okay? But it's crucial for you to network because you get to build those relationships. You get to create those contacts, okay? And when you create those contacts and you build those relationships, guys, you're able to not only grow your business, but of course, you're also able to make more money as the end result. So networking is extremely important, guys. Guys, investing in yourself could also be the following, okay? Attending workshops, taking online courses, just in general, learning more about the trucking industry, okay? Learning from people that have already been in the business. And I know I've said that before if you watch the videos, but I can't say it enough, guys, because it is a crucial component, okay? You need to pick other people's brains. You need to try to pick up knowledge from other individuals. And if you don't know anybody, I hope that these videos are helping you guys out. And we'll continue to deliver this content, okay? I have to put this in there. Remember to like and subscribe, okay? And we'll keep delivering this content for you guys. But guys, it's extremely important, okay? Online courses, books, guys. There's books out there about trucking. Just any trucking book in general is always gonna be beneficial for you to read, okay? The YouTube videos, like I said, again, I hope these YouTube videos are helping you guys out, okay? Reaching out to people that may know somebody in the dump truck industry, okay? This is extremely important, guys, and this is how you invest in yourself. Because the more knowledge you have about the business, what will happen is, instead of you having to start off and going through that trial and error, which you will, okay, and I went through it myself, you're going to create an easier path for yourself. It's always good to know as much as you can before you just go in and dive in and then have to learn the hard way, right? So it's extremely important for you guys. Again, just let me reiterate, attending workshops, online courses, reading books, okay? And guys, let me tell you, another thing, setting goals, okay? It's extremely important for you to set goals, short-term and long-term goals. Whether you're getting started or you're trying to get started, set goals for yourself, okay? So guys, I hope that there's somebody out there that you may be able to reach out to that's already familiar with the dump truck industry, that you can hopefully learn from them, okay? If not, guys, again, I hope you continue to watch these videos. But if you can, guys, let me tell you, having a mentor is extremely important. So if you don't have a mentor out there, I hope that these videos are helping, guys. I hope you continue watching. And guys, if you found this valuable, you already know, drop a comment below, like and subscribe. This is Jay Mancini, and we'll see you on the next one. You got to get into it. You got to get into it like this close. If you can get it really close, so close that you can feel the vibration, that's what you want to do. If you don't know what I'm talking about, we'll leave it at that.